So J. Cole recently apologized to Kendrick Lamar for the diss track he released on his latest project, Might Delete Later, and he's even removed it from streaming platforms. The track was a response to Kendrick's verse on Like That. People have come up with a number of reasons for why Cole might have apologized. Some say it's because he's afraid of going head to head with Kendrick. Others are suggesting that the track wasn't received very well by fans and that's why he's pulling it. One other reason I've seen floating around is that J. Cole is not really a killer when it comes down to it. I don't believe any of those reasons are true. J. Cole told us himself why he's apologizing. It didn't sit well with him. People started attacking Kendrick's body of work and undermining his greatness. And I think that genuinely bothered Cole, because that's not how he really feels about Kendrick. J. Cole has a lot of respect for both Kendrick and Drake, but I think Kendrick especially. And he has an appreciation for what Kendrick stands for. I think they share similar values. But after Kendrick's verse on Like That, I think J. Cole felt he had to respond. He couldn't let Kendrick have another control moment. And the people around him and his own fans were pushing for him to respond. And so he responded. Some of the criticism towards Cole questioned why he would even release the diss track if he didn't really feel that way. He first had to write it, record it, mix and master it before releasing it. Why didn't he just not respond at all if he wasn't really bothered? And those are good points to make. But I think most of us have all been in a similar situation, just not to this scale. We've all done something we would go on to later regret. And when we look back at it, we're shocked at how dumb we were. And I think after Like That dropped, Cole was caught off guard and it knocked him off balance. He said it himself. He had been moving on his own accord for a while. Until that moment. Kendrick's verse changed all of that. And now he had tunnel vision. He felt like the only thing he could do was to respond with his own diss track. He felt pressure to respond, coming from himself and everything around him. His friends, his fans, and all of hip-hop. So J. Cole wrote it, recorded it, mixed and mastered it, and then released it. And after he released it, I think the fog that had settled on him finally lifted. No more tunnel vision. He was able to think clearly. He was able to stand on the other side of the decision. He had done what he was supposed to do, and now he could assess if that's actually what he wanted to do. And he realized that Kendrick's verse didn't really bother him that much. It was more aimed at Drake than him. And the discourse that broke out online was also bothering him. People were following his lead and attacking Kendrick's discography and undermining his artistry. Most people think they would be able to stand for something they believed in regardless of the consequences. Most people think they could stand alone in front of the whole world and go against what is expected of them. But if it really came down to it, I think most of us would fail miserably. Most of us would fold under that pressure. J. Cole is not most people. J. Cole did not fold. Even though he knew he was going against what most people wanted, he was essentially going against what hip-hop wanted. He stayed true to himself and he apologized to Kendrick in front of the world, and he was willing to accept whatever response Kendrick felt might be necessary. He could have apologized in secret and no one would have known except him and Kendrick, but the diss was already public, so he felt the apology needed to be public as well. And that takes character. That takes great character. And that's who J. Cole is. That's who he's always been. His fans know that. I don't believe this disqualifies him from the big three or from the conversation as one of the best in the game. And he can still go on to proclaim himself as the best. His skill on the mic is not diminished in any way. Just listen to the song Pie on Might Delete Later, or his verse on First Person Shooter, or The Secret Recipe, or Johnny P's Caddy. It's Kendrick, J. Cole, and Drake at the top, and there's a significant gap before we get to whoever comes in at number 4. I think that J. Cole wants to show that he's the best at what he does without having to undermine or discredit his peers. He doesn't want to cut down his competition to prove that he is great. He just wants his art to speak for itself, and he will continue to create art at the highest level. So shout out to J. Cole for being the person we all think we are. And I think as more time passes, people will come to understand and appreciate J. Cole's decision. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on the matter. I'm Zero Tony, and I'll see you in the next one.